Hello, hello, and welcome to round number 7 of the EXILED GT3 challenge. Massive thanks to Tom Coombs for providing that video for us. Has to be said, it's not finished yet, but I thought I'd stick it in there anyway because it looks pretty damn cool. So anyway, well, welcome to Monza. Just before we start, just say it's just me this evening, Mark, so hello. Welcome to all our regular viewers this evening. So we have got Nick Wolf 64 T1 Mermaid saying hope we can all keep it clean, and hello advanced commentary team. Like I say, it's just me, so hello. I will do my best to try and keep it as engaging and interesting as we can. So we've got the bronze class out. Standard for us now. We have the bronze guys go out for the first 15 minutes, rubber the track up, get some quick times in before the silver and the gold guys come out here at beautiful Monza in Italy. The weather, 21 degrees, a lot nicer than it is here in England at the moment as I sit here in a hoodie with the radiator on. I'd love to be in 21 degrees. As we see, Tom Coombs is going to be coming round doing his first lap. I say I also installed something as well, which I can switch on like this, and it gives us I guess a televised view of the circuit. It doesn't work so well with sort of pan shots, but we're going to go round for a lap of Monza now. So go down this outrageously long straight into a very, very hard braking zone. Turn 1, turn 2, into the, is it the Variante, I think, that first chicane? And now through the Curva Biasono, or the Curve Grande. It's the Rettifilio, isn't it, the first chicane? Yes, the Rettifilio chicane. Lots of straights separated by corners, lots of heavy braking zones. Got to be good on the brakes around here. So into the Variante della Roggia. Then into the first Lesmo. Feels like you should be able to go a lot quicker than you can around there in these cars. A lot of understeer there from the Lamborghini. Tyres still getting warm. The second Lesmo, as we now head down to Ascari. Not really an overtaking place, but will we see people trying it down here? Not. Okay, and Darren's actually just told me that the camera thing doesn't work, so we will turn it off and we will never use it again. Anyway, carry on now down to the final corner here, the Parabolica. Again, a never-ending corner. Tons of understeer. Get on the power when you dare. Tom taking a slightly tighter line, which obviously is making him come right out to the outside. Traction control, having to work overtime. And then back down the start-finish straight for a lap of Monza. So, first lap time that we've seen is a 1:49.4. Quick guys in the 47s, it seems. Purcell does a 50.6. The next guy coming around will be Turnbull, I believe. Gary Turnbull puts in a 51.5, closely followed by Mark Lister at 51.5, and Turnbull at 55.7. Who's this? Tristan Ferguson. His first lap, a 50.5, so some second off the pace from Tom, again being the pace setter. Dominic Joy and Tom Coombs back today, so that's pretty cool. We've got these two guys together. There's 4 tenths between them at the moment. So what can Dominic do to get within the pace of Tom? Although Tom is looking like he's going a lot quicker on his next lap. Who else? Carl Smith just sets a lap there, 150.3. but it is looking like Coombs is significantly quicker than his first lap. We did see quite a few big understeer moments. Slightly strange line through the parabolica on his first lap, but that looks a lot tidier. And I would expect this to be a significant amount faster. And indeed it is, into the 48.6s. So again, Tom showing silver class pace, it has to be said. Dominic Joy will be coming across the line shortly. He's looking like he will be improving quite significantly too, as will be Tristan Ferguson. So we'll keep an eye on these guys. So we go, that's a big slide from Dominic Joy, and that's all of his Delta time disappearing there. So this will not be an improvement. Just to clarify on this event, the return to garage rules with qualifying. Basically, if you have to return to the garage, you are not... If you use return to garage, so by pressing the escape key on your keyboard, you are not allowed to rejoin the track. That is your qualifying over. In fact, that is what happened with Seville in the last race, is that he actually had an incident on his outlap at the start of qualifying, so was unable to continue with the session, which is why he had to start from the back. So, anyway, Tristan Ferguson currently going significantly quicker, as is Mark Lister, so we'll stay with Tristan. Some weird camera angles at Monza, it has to be said, on the default ones. It's again another big, long, straight down into the Variante Ascari chicane. How much do you attack the sausage on the inside? All personal preference. All depends on how much springiness you want in the car, which may slow you down in other places. That is a weird old camera. We'll go with TV2, I think. So Tristan looks like he will be significantly improving, as will Mark listed behind us. We'll stay with Tristan. Nice clean run out of the parabolica. Could probably use a bit more road to the outside. He cuts to the inside of the track over that white line, make it as short as possible, and he goes P2 in class. Still 1 second behind Tom Coombs. Who else is improving? Lister was over a second up, but now his delta has gone red, so that's a shame. As Webber and Joy pip Tristan Ferguson for P2 and P3. So that's a good lap from Patrick Webber there. So quite a big gap from P1 to P2, but then pretty close from P2 all the way down to P7 in this class. So those 6 guys separated by not very much. That's a great showing from Lister in the yellow Team APR Aston Martin. It looks like he's got some more time in him as well. So the main improver on track at the moment, Dominic Joy. Used to being a lot closer to Tom Coombs, it has to be said, so we'll see if he can improve as the session goes on. But seems you can take quite a lot of curb on the exit of the Lesmos, because he's not getting track cuts for those. So that's good to know for the race. So again, how much curb do you dare take? He's actually avoiding all of the curb on the inside there, really. That will be a track cut. That's not a track cut either. That's surprising. So it looks like Dominic will be improving his time. I think maybe to P2 just to jump Webber, but not really challenging Tom Coombs at the moment. Again, that Porsche is very slidey out of the parabolica. It's just losing all the time down the big straight. That's the one place where you don't want to be slidey. And in fact, he improves, but only by a couple of tenths, but does set a fastest sector 2. In fact, he has to bail there behind Turnbull. Turnbull currently the slowest in the class, braking a lot sooner than Mr. Joy expected. So who else have we got? We've got Carl Smith here. Again, good opportunity to try and give some airtime to some of these people that don't necessarily see too much airtime usually. Not by will of trying or wanting, just because of the way things go. So this looks like an improvement from P6 to P4 for Carl Smith. That's great. That pulls him within a second of the class leader and only 3/10 behind P2 in class. So there is quite a pack of cars, it has to be said, from P2 to P7 in this class. Who else is it looking like they are going to be improving? Tom Coombs looks like he's going to be improving even further. Currently 2/10 up out of the chicane, although losing it all again. As we hear someone spin. Who was that? That was Mark Lister behind us. So Tristan looking good for a slight improvement. It's very, very close in class, so this may be P4 or P3. As long as this is neat and tidy out of here. Again, not taking as much road as he can be on the exits, and not carrying as much speed as he can, but he'll improve by 1/10, which jumps him up 1 place and brings him within a second of the class leader. So everyone who is out at the moment is struggling. Lots of red deltas. Mark Lister has pit. Who else haven't we seen? John Dowling we've not seen. Comes across the line. So these guys have 2.5 more minutes, so I'd say people that are on laps are probably going to get 1, possibly 2 more. That's it. So we are coming into the second chicane. How late do you dare brake? How much curb do you take? That's very neat and tidy actually for Dominic. That looked nice. And that is reflected on a slight improvement on his delta as we come through the first Lesmo. That Porsche getting a bit of a slide again, and that's it. 2/10 down. Just that little slide is all you need to lose all of your time. So Porsche looking like a very slidey Porsche. Notoriously a very difficult car to set up. So that's more aggressive from Dominic there, and I can say that by doing that he has gained a couple of tenths, but it definitely won't be enough to improve unless he has a very good parabolica. And here we go. Will he get another lap? So the only people out still are Joy, Purcell and Dowling. So I think these guys will get to start a new lap. So we've got the 42 Purcell, 86 Joy and 27 of Dowling still out on track at the moment. As to be said, none of the timings really looking like improvements, unfortunately. Just touching the gravel. First time again, you can hear the car sliding. That's not hooked up right, this Porsche. Oh, and you can see snap oversteer on the end of the second Lesmo. And Dominic returns to the pit. So Dowling is actually on a very good lap. He's 5/10 up. So I think Purcell will be going into the pit lane as well as the silvers and golds come out onto the track. But we will stay with John. Struggling to get the car hooked into the last part of a very difficult chicane, but he's still looking like a significant improvement. Oh, struggling to get on the power. But John will come across the line. He's looking quicker by 7/10, and he jumps from P8 to P7. So a good time from John Dowling. So we will try and figure out who is first on track. Nope. Dixon. 72, so I think Anders is first out on track, so let's... Yes, he is. So we'll stick with Anders. See what sort of lap time he can put in on his first run. Quickly then, bronze class, we have Tom Coombs, Patrick Webber, Dominic Joy, Tristan Ferguson, Carl Smith, Andy Purcell, John Dowling, Mark Lister and Gary Turnbull, with Jules Bielecki not setting a time. But it has to be said, from P2 to P8 in the bronze class, all separated within a second. So a lot closer than normal. So here we go then, with Anders, championship leader, I do believe, going into this round. But it's going to be very, very difficult, I feel, to keep that with the sort of pace we've been seeing from Seville in practice. But we will see. It's using all of the road on the right hand side right up against the white line. Touching a bit of the gravel on the way out. It's going to lose a little bit of momentum. Of course, tyres, brakes and everything else still getting up to temperature. Getting him touching the grass on the outside of the Lesmo corner there. Get it under the bridge. Left, right, left. See a lot more curb being attacked by Anders than we saw in the bronze qualifying, it has to be said. So what's our banker lap time going to be? We've got John Shield behind. And I think that's Adam Smith behind them. And Kyle Dafford, I think. First four out on track. So here we go then. Anders. I have no doubt this will be the quickest lap time we've seen today. And it is a 148.6 to beat. And a 148.3. He only beats the bronze class leader by 2/10. But I'd imagine these times are going to come down. Carl Daffin in the middle of the bronze, 49.5. John Chill, 49.6. Monty Wilson, 48.0. Miles Dixon, 48.3. So these times starting to be pumped in. None massively quick, but the tyres do take, it seems, 2 laps to get up to temperature. As looking at Anders' time, he's currently over 3/10 up on his delta. Let's try and jump to someone else. Another Aston Martin here, John Cheel. As Kirk Heath and Henry Handy put in the quickest times in silver, 48.4 and a 48.7. Where is Seville? Seville is out on track. Doesn't look like he's on a particularly quick lap though. Let's jump to him though. In fact, he's stuck in a bit of traffic, it looks like. That's 776 in front of us. That is Monty Wilson. I'm not sure why his skin's not loading, because it's in the folder. But we will keep seeing what kind of lap time he puts in. As Oscar Sandberg pips into P2, and Anders does improve onto a 47.7. So we'll see. What's the first lap time from Jonathan Seville? It is a... In fact, his first lap didn't even count. So that's interesting. But we'll stick with him. It looks like this is his first official quick lap. And Kirkheath actually goes P2 overall. Only 80 hundredths of a second behind pole. And Henry Handy only 4/10 off pole currently at 48.1. Just pipping Oscar and Miles. So we're seeing as these races go on and these silver guys get more and more practice, more and more track time, that they're actually starting to mix with the pro guys. So it's good to see this sort of split. Question is here, Monty in front of us is actually improving by 3/10, although his delta's dropping. No, it's not, it's still 2/10 up, so I would imagine this is going to be a good lap from Seville. Very, very clean, very neat, very tidy. Person who'd be benefiting from following Seville is Ayo behind him. As Oscar goes P1 now, 47.7. What will Jonathan do? So we're about to cross the line. I think this is his first quick lap. And he does go pole indeed, a 47.0. So very, very similar to what we saw in practice. Bit of a chasm between Seville and everybody else again here. Let's go with Wagner Marquez, P6 currently. What can he do? 3/10 improvement would push him into the top 3. So let's see if this sustains itself. How can he do round here, around the Parabolica? Car a bit squirrely. Oh, and yeah, I thought that would be. You can't run that wide, it invalidates your lap. So indeed it does, and he comes in for a new set of tyres. So very, very close in the mid-pack. We've got only 1 second separating P2 all the way down to P12 at the moment. Who else have we got? Adam Gardner, currently P16. He'd probably be hoping to be a bit further up than that. You've got to be very intricate, and actually that car was bouncing really nicely over those curbs, and it shows in his delta time there. He's gained over 2/10 just through those 2 corners. We go through Lesmo 1. Lost it all through Lesmo 1. Second Lesmo. No, and he's lost all of his time there, Adam. So, who is doing things? Who's doing bits? Oscar. We've not been on board with Oscar yet. That Bentley definitely able to hit those curbs nicely. So we keep following Oscar now. Looking like an improvement, but I don't think anyone is going to be able to get anywhere near Mr. Seville at this one. Although I say that, Anders is on a flying like a rocket ship, 5/10 up currently. So it is looking like there is a little bit more time to be found by Anders and Oscar. They're chipping away at the delta, but not. They're sort of getting a 5/10 up and then losing it, and then it's very yo-yo-y. Shows they have got the pace in the car, but just not sort of over one lap, it seems. See, Anders basically sets an identical lap time to what he did before. Who else have we got? Monty is looking like he wants to upset the guys in front of him. So although Monty's really, although Seville's really far ahead, the other guys are all quite tightly packed. So I think what we're going to see is a repeat of these other races where it's going to be a fight into turn one. Whoever's alongside Seville will be doing everything they can to take that one opportunity to get ahead of him. But yeah, Monty's on one. He's definitely looking like he's going to improve. In fact, what can he do? So we're just coming down into the Parabolica now, last corner. We're going to get a bit of a tow from Oscar ahead of us, which is nice. And Monty has had an outstanding last corner, we'll see. And Monty goes P2, he jumps Oscar. So there's a couple of guys now, within half a second of Seville, but... And in fact, Monty actually set the best sector 3, so that tow came in very, very handy. I'm seeing a common theme as well with people. I see the delta coming into the first chicane, like getting less and less and less, gaining so much time where people are so eager to brake later and later and later. So gain it at the beginning in the braking zone and then just lose it through the rest of the corner. Anyway, AJ Jones comes across the line, goes from P15 to P13. Who else have we got? James Sheridan. I remember this. It's a very nice looking McLaren, this one, isn't it? Yeah. Deserves a bit of airtime just for how it looks. So we'll stick with it as we come into the last minute and a half of qualifying. Just keeping an eye on the front guys as well. Who's in the pits? Henry Handy's in the pits, so he looks like he won't be doing any more laps. But we'll stay with James Sheridan. Again, just keeping an eye on the delta of the top guys. Someone who is... Yeah, proper looks like, looking at the deltas of P1, P2, P3. They're within 10 hundredths of their quickest time. It looks like they found every last inch of time they can get out of those cars. So, who is going quicker? Marquez is going quicker. Where are we on track? We're just coming down into the Parabolica. If this is neat and tidy, he's looking like he will potentially gain a few positions. So, P6 currently. Keep it within the white lines. Yes, he does. So this is going to be an improvement. Question is by how much? He goes from P6 to P4. P4 for Wagner Marquez. Who else? We've got Oscar and Monty going quicker in P2, P3. And in fact, Marquez does get another lap time in. So these are the last laps for everybody. Seville has backed out of his lap. He's actually run wide. Oscar is not improving, whereas Monty just behind him is. Monty getting an almighty tow. I don't know whether Oscar's helping him here. So we are currently a tenth and a half up. Monty Wilson, I don't think it's going to be enough. Even with the tow, we improve by a tenth. So that's a good effort from Monty Wilson. We finish 0.3 behind the pole sitter, Jonathan Seville. So who else? James Sheridan goes from P11 to P7. Snuck that in. Goes P2 in the silver class. There are still people going round, but the game's decided to go to the garage for some reason. So, crazy pace from Seville, but ignoring him, there are quite a few people very, very close at this place. So good qualifying. Seville, Wilson, Sandberg, Marquez, Amundsen, just pipped by a tenth or two to those other places. Heath, the quickest of the silver guys, 0.7 off the lead, great effort. Sheridan, Handy, Ayo, Dixon, Daffin, Stevenson, Marsh, Gardner, Jones, and then Coombs in P16, the first of the bronze guys. Smith, Chill, Duran, Van der Rad, Webber, Joy, O'Neill, Ferguson, Smith, Taylor, Purcell, Dowling, Lister, Hutchison, Turnbull, and Bialecki with no time. So here we go then, just waiting for the countdown to finish. Good qualifying session. And here we go. Ready for the race. 3 minutes time. So while that's doing that, just gonna go get a drink. And then we will crack on. So in the chat, that's what we've been saying. Will there be an incident at turn 1 at Monza? Will people be patient? The rules most certainly are that you need to be careful on the first lap. Almost, I think, just be side by side through that first chicane. Not really try anything to overtake, but we will see. As we wait 45 more seconds. 30 seconds, everyone will be jumping into their cars now to keep their tyres as warm as possible.
20 seconds.
Is everyone on track? Yes, they are.
10 seconds.
And away we go. So we follow Jonathan Seville. Another good, strong qualifying from him puts him in P1. Someone slightly different alongside him this time in Monty Wilson. Then in P3, Oscar Sandberg. P4 is Wagner Marquez. P5 is Anders Amundsen. P6 Kirk Heath. P7 Henry Handy. P8 Dami Ayo. P9 Kyle Daffin. P10 Miles Dixon. P11 James Sheridan. P12 Chris Stevenson. P13 Jonathan Marsh. P14 Adam Gardner. P15 and in the pits actually is AJ Jones. P16 is Tom Coombs. P17 is Adam Smith. P18 is John Cheel. P19 Serkan Duran. P20 is a newcomer, is Sinan van der Rad. P21 Patrick Webber. P22 is Dominic Joy. P23 Simon O'Neill. P24 Jack Taylor, another newcomer for this one. P25 Carl Smith. P26 Andy Purcell. P27 John Dowling. P28 is Mark Lister. P29 is Michael Hutchison. To expect Michael Hutchison to be a lot higher up. P30 is Gary Turnbull. P31 is Julio Bielecki. And as we mentioned, AJ Jones is unfortunately in the pits, or maybe doing a pit lane start. So long outlap here at Monza, quite a long track really for these cars. Obviously used to seeing F1 blasting around here and not taking very long at all. So we will go to the Helicam view. Who should we pick on at the start that's close enough to the front that we can see what's going on there, while also trying to keep an eye on what's going on behind. Obviously I've got no co-commentator to let me know what the hell's going on, so I'll do my best to keep on top of everything. Some quite aggressive body language in those cars already. Seville, I was wondering who would be on what side. Seville will have the inside line going into the Rettifilio, the first chicane here at Monza. Don't think it's the same in F1 where you get an advantage of being on the second row, because you get a huge tow in F1, don't you? And almost being on pole is a detriment here in F1, but completely different in these tin tops. So, everyone now in formation, following the designated speed limit. Bit of yo-yoing going on between Wilson and Seville. You need to be careful not to go over that speed limit, because you will get a penalty. And we are open. And we are go. And it looks like Seville is just edging ahead. In fact, Sandberg's had a great start behind us. Sandberg is he going to make it 3 wide? No, he's not. There's grass there. And Sandberg's looking late braking, and he cuts in front of Monty Wilson, takes himself off the circuit. We've got some Three wide action, bit of bumping, bit of grinding. It's just like a Soho nightclub. But on the whole, everyone has done pretty well through there, other than Sandberg, who's had a bit of a nightmare. Sort of all or nothing there, coming into turn 1, and already Seville has half a second gap. That's not ideal for everyone else. Dixon goes down the inside of Io and overshoots it, bounces over those curbs. We've got a bit of contact in the chicane behind, but everyone seems to still be going. We'll now switch to this camera angle. John Cheel and Patrick Webber getting close. But everyone seems to be doing alright. So the main winner out of all of that was Wagner Marquez. Has gone up from P6, I believe, to P3. No, he's just gone up one, P4 to P3. Kirk Heath up 2 positions, has passed Amundsen and Sandberg on the start. So that's a great start. Dixon up 2 spots. Adam Smith up 3 spots at the start. Jack Taylor in the only BMW up 4 spaces at the start. And the biggest loser, John Cheel, down 5 spaces at the beginning there. So that's unfortunate for John. I see a little bit of contact there between some cars, so we'll go back and have a little look in a bit. John goes down the inside of Hutchison. So we're all good. Daffern, it looks like, loses a space to Sheridan. We'll keep an eye on what's going on here. Daffern looking around the outside of Sheridan into turn 1. We've also got Io looking at Dixon into turn 1 into the red Fiat as well. Handy is alongside Sandberg just ahead of us. Can't quite get that done that time. And Sheridan couldn't quite get that done either. We've had... Is that... Who's dropped down a load of spaces? In fact, yes, AJ Jones did start from the pits. He can see him on the relative now. So closest battles. Chris Stevenson's looking down the inside of Sheridan into the second chicane. Lots of space left there. Respectful driving from those two. Sheridan will get another run into the Lesmo corners. Not really a place to overtake. Meanwhile, Seville is now 1.6 seconds ahead of the pack. It'll be another case of keeping his head down, keeping out of trouble, I think. Stevenson's still all over the back of Sheridan. As we look down the outside, and we defend that well, Mr. Sheridan. Amundsen and Heath, very, very close. Daffern is tumbling down the order. What's happened there? I think he's gone off the circuit somewhere. We'll try again, trying to jump everywhere. So Amundsen couldn't get past Heath. Coombs goes up a position. There's a little group here all following Sheridan. Van der Rad just behind Gardner. Nice to see Gardner get through a few laps without incident. John Cheel has an almighty run on Webber. Looks down the inside, but it seems that Lexus just has too much grunt. But John is leaving the car there. Is he going to try and brake later? We do try and brake later. And we get that move done. Nice move there from John Cheel. Taylor, Daffern. We've got Amundsen and Heath. Just managed to catch that. Anders looking down the inside, knowing he's losing time. And Heath concedes that position. We've also got Coombs looking on Marsh, not making that done this time. Joy and Duran. Joy looking down the inside of Duran. Joy nearly not getting that car stopped. Got a group behind us as well. Daffern overtaking Taylor, who goes off the circuit. Cheel looking down the inside. Can't quite get that done at this time. So, all the action really happening in this sort of mid-pack from 15th to 20th position. Good trainer cars as we watch. I think that was Hutchison, yeah, Hutchison going off behind. So, just keeping an eye everywhere. Cheel behind this massive arsed BMW is 87. goes off. We've got, who's that? That's Gardner again having terrible luck. What have we got? Was that an incident? Yes, it was. We'll go back and have a look what happened there, as we've got a second. I think Smith goes off and then Gardner goes off just behind. And they sort of make contact in the gravel. That's unfortunate for those guys. So what's going on? We've got a car facing the wrong way on the inside of the Parabolica. I think that's Sheridan who'd spun, number 33. Yes, it is. We'll try and have a look what happened there. So at the Parabolica, oh, just bouncing over the curbs, and we spin round. Unfortunately, we end up facing the wrong way on the inside of the circuit, taking a bit of the barrier on our way, but nicely weighted from Sheridan. So that was a good start, but unfortunately all gone a bit pear-shaped towards the end. Van der Rad looking for, as we've got quite a few gaps. These little instances have caused quite a few problems, so we'll try and go back and have a look at what happened at the start. So we had an incident involving 67, 55 and 11s. This was at the start. In fact, oh dear, Joy getting hit off the side there. Just too many cars, people slowing down a bit too much. So we got an incident with 215 and the number 2 car. So that's the number 2 car, isn't it? That's Ferguson. So yeah, tags the back of that BMW. What else sort of happened at the start? We had an incident involving Bialecki at the start as well. Again, the same thing. I think the ultimate concertina effect. People having to almost stop and then just not seeing the car on the inside of us and driving into them. We had an incident with Daffin, who's down now in P16. We'll have a quick look here. So there's an incident at the chicane. 35, 103. Daffin looking for a space. Nothing there. We're tagged. Bit of bumper cars. Everyone gets on with their life. So Taylor and Joy, an eventful race for Dominic Joy so far, but still finding himself in P15, running quite high. 4 positions behind Tom Coombs. So has anyone pit? In fact, Adam Smith comes into pit while we are saying that. So again, closest battle on circuit. Dominic Joy, Carl Daffin at the moment. The gaps at the front are Seville 2.6 to Wilson, then a further 1.4 to Marquez, further 1.4 to Amundsen, further 3.7 to Sandberg, 1.3 to Handy, 1 second to Io, 0.7 to Dixon. So the gap's quite significant at the front of the field, it has to be said, at the moment. So we follow them under the tunnel. There's a few little bends. What's happened to Coombs? Saying Coombs is dropping places, or is it Dixon? It's Dixon dropping places. So what's happened to Dixon? Has he disappeared? Dixon has quit from the race. So not sure what happened there, but Dixon's gone. Miles Dixon out of the race. He's our first retirement. Oh, big contact. Dominic Joy into the back of number 35, which is Van der Rad into the chicane. Bits of polystyrene everywhere. And definitely another eventful race for Dominic Joy as we see Chio go past us, Hutchison, Purcell. That's a lot of places dropped. Oh, these guys are close, aren't they? Ferguson gets past Joy as well. What's going to happen? We all try and squeeze through here. that Gardner behind? Yeah, that's Gardner behind. We've got Lister behind Gardner. We've got AJ Jones just starting to bring in some places from the pit lane start. So we have got Amundsen has gained significantly on Marquez at the front, and also AO is gaining on Handy, but nothing really to write home about. The battles are all here in this little group. It's Carl Smith really attacking those curbs in that Lexus. Someone's just touched the gravel. Webber loses a place to Gardner, so that must have been Webber running wide. Yes, it was. Hutchison looking down the inside of John Cheel, but John will have a better run coming back down into the first chicane, and also the benefit of a bit of a camel toe. So will he have enough camel toe to get down the inside? We've got an almighty run after a Vindaloo on a Friday night, and yes, we do. Nice and easy, so we get that back. Thank you very much. I'll get on with my day. That's John Cheel up into P15. Who else is close? We've got Daffin. It does just show that we've seen so many people yo-yoing places up and down, up and down, up and down. If you just keep yourself clean and out of trouble, prime example of that is Jonathan Marsh. Started P13, already up into P9, and also Jack Taylor started P24, already up to P12. Again, just keep yourself out of trouble. The same with Michael Hudson starting P29, already up to P13. So the quickest car in a straight line, you probably won't be surprised, is Jack Taylor in the BMW, 278 kilometers an hour. But quite a significant 10 kilometers an hour difference between him and Oscar Sandberg in the Bentley on the end of the straight. That's quite a lot of kmh, isn't it? That's quite a big difference. So who's pit? Only AJ Jones and Adam Smith so far. But this is the closest battle on circuit. So based on what we're saying then is that the BMW should fly away into the distance out of the Parabolica into the Rettifilio, but we'll see. So the gap 0.3, 0.4, 0.5, yeah, so indeed it is going up. So that BMW is showing that that speed does make a difference. But that's a lot of car to have to stop. What else is close? We've got, saying about keeping out of trouble, commentator's curse. Marsh seems to have had a little incident and has been passed by Tom Coombs. Tom goes up into P9. Good work. In fact, Daffin now we can see in the background is all over the back of James Taylor. We're looking down the inside into the Lesmo. We say no, we come back behind. Try and get a run into Ascari instead. But as we said, I think that BMW with the toe of that Lexus, which is equally as quick in a straight line in front, is causing it to be a little bit more difficult than what it normally would be. It's good to see a BMW out there anyway. But hey, so we jump to Anders, P4 looking at P3, Marquez in front of us. Two Aston Martins. Got the toe. Wagner defends the inside. We're going to try and hang it around the outside. We've seen it be done. Unless you're Verstappen and Hamilton, where absolutely it cannot be done because you have to leave the space. And both of them do leave the space. That's good driving from both of them. Shows it can be done. Oh, see ya, polystyrene. So Anders will have the inside line coming into the next chicane. Can he do it? No. Even being alongside, it's that difficult to pass that he thought better of it. Again, we'll jump back to Daffin and Taylor. Daffin probably sick of the sight of that BMW in front. But yeah, we're definitely into what I would describe as a settling down phase of the event now. It's the same pit stops as normal, one pit stop mandatory for tyres. You can take it whenever you want. You can take it on the first lap, you can take it on the final lap. Entirely up to you. This group's getting closer and closer, isn't it? Duran, Taylor and Daffin. Where will it all end? In fact, we'll click on Duran and we'll go Helicam. That's where it's going to end. Oh, big slide from Taylor. That's one way of getting past. Then maybe we'll go back to. That's a shame. That was getting quite starting to get quite exciting. So we'll go find something else. Jones and Dowling, we'll find them. Dowling running well, P23. It's gained a few spots. Does seem to be a noticeable speed difference. In fact, Dowling is he looking like he's going to let that go? No, he's sort of sacrificed his own corner there. Should have just kept it where he was. So lap times, best laps 47.5 for Seville, 47.8 for Monty. Last lap time 47.9 and 47.8. So they're running quite close, but I do get the feeling that Seville can turn it up if he wants to. As Daffin goes for a lunge, does he keep it? In fact, that little nudge keeps him on the circuit, but now we're in the gravel. That's going to compromise our exit. But we have both got past. Keep an eye on when that gets closer again. So, what's been going on? I mean, this is going on. So we've got Anders looking around the outside into the Parabolicas. Oh, bit of a nudge. Wagner's slow mid-corner there, and that's obviously going to lose all of our momentum going down the straight. So I can't imagine we'll be close enough to have a go this time. Somebody who is close enough is Duran. Is this camera going to update? Yes, it is. There they are. Okay, very, very similar. He's around the outside of the Parabolica. It's not really where we want to be unless we want to go wide, tuck in and try and get a run. But probably went a little bit too wide. In fact, Anders does get past Amundsen by quite some distance. What happened there? So we'll go back and have a look in a second. So we'll go back and have a look. I thought we were too far back, but it turns out we weren't. So let's have a look. Put that move on replay. What happens? Oh, Wagner actually runs off the circuit, and then that allows Anders to go past. So, Duran, Taylor. Duran looking down the inside, wiggle, wiggle. Oh, they're close. A little bit of a nudge. In fact, Henry has got past Sandberg. Sandberg has made a mistake. What happens? So he gets out on the dirt. Massive wobble. He does well not to hit anything, although that is quite a significant dent on the side of that door. I wonder what's happened there. That is one bent. Oh, he's lost it again, Sandberg. He's into the wall again. We've seen this a couple of times from him. One mistake tends to lead to another, it's happened again. His indicators come on, indicating I am driving into the wall. And now Daffin goes past, and that is a very bent-looking Bentley. That is a bent Bentley. He's even got his hazards on, like we're on the M5. Hazard in front. It's a bent Bentley. And in fact, it's causing havoc everywhere. Oh, dearie me. I'm sure Oscar will be pitting, and this will be a substantial pit stop. And yes, indeed, it is. Such a shame. Such a shame. We'll watch Oscar crawl down the pits because not really anything else is happening. Well, we got Lister and Dowling here having a good old scrap. Patrick Webber behind us. In fact, Patrick Webber's having a look at Dowling down the inside. Oh, Lister smashing over those curbs. They don't like that very much. But all's okay, I feel. In fact, Sheridan's got a massive run on him now. So Sheridan looking down the inside of Webber. Webber actually brakes far too late. Defending, he gets that all wrong, and I think, yes, we do get past in the end. Let's just have a rundown of what's going on. It's all gone a bit quiet, other than the polystyrene everywhere at turn 1. So Seville leading, that's our second place man behind Monty Wilson. Then we've got Anders Amundsen P3, Wagner Marquez P4. Henry Handy first in the silver class P5, again another great show from him. Dami Ayo bringing up the chase, Stevenson just behind that. And then Tom Coombs and Dominic Joy, but Dominic Joy is a lap down but has pitted. In fact, Dominic Joy seems to be quicker than Coombs at the moment. So who has pit? That looks like Jack Taylor. Yes, it is indeed Jack Taylor. So yes, it's the closest battle at the moment. Lister, Sheridan, Dowling. I meant to say as well, needs to get it in after however many minutes, 23 minutes. Whoever keeps going on to our YouTube videos and hitting the dislike button, thank you for taking the time out of your day to do that. That's really appreciated. And also, fuck you. So that's a general consensus from everyone here at Exile. So thank you very much. We appreciate that you have such a busy life that you're able to go out and do that every time. So thank you. We appreciate it. We appreciate the attention. Anyway, we jump back to Simon O'Neill in that beautiful liveried Castrol Aston Martin. We are looking at the back of Serkan Duran for P11. Bouncing over the curbs. Yeah, I think we're going to be looking at a pit stop shuffle. It's going to be the thing that's going to sort this out. The gaps are all 6 seconds. From P1 to P2, 6 seconds P2 to P3, then 3, then 8. Yeah, all quite spaced out. We'll stay with O'Neill. We're going to get a bit of a tow, I would imagine. Yeah, we gained 2 tenths already. And another one. But nothing will be doing this lap. Duran needs to not be driving in his mirrors, because that's what causes you to start making mistakes, start out braking yourself, start running wide. You need to focus on what you're doing. It's also allowing John Shield behind that to start catching us. So we're down to 29 cars. I think there's been some more retirements. I can't say who. We also had a bit of contact between Dowling and Webber at some point. So let's jump on the replay and see what happens. So Webber's behind. This is where we run wide, wasn't it? Fair enough. So it's actually been a remarkably clean race so far. In fact, Dowling and Webber are at it again. In fact, that's a carbon copy of what happened before. And in fact, that is exactly what happens when you drive with your mirrors. As Webber runs wide and Dowling gets past. O'Neill now 0.1 behind as we come down to the Parabolica. White flag, we've got a stationary car, that's the 35. Wilson pits and Coombs pits. Who's 35? Van der Red. Okay, he's pitting. White flag for pitting people. So that tow working overdrive this time. O'Neill looking. In fact, Duran doesn't cover the inside, so we will be able to sneak it down there. Do we get it stopped in time? We do, and that is a beautiful, clean pass by O'Neill. That was really, really good. So good job as we go up into P9. Another example of keeping it clean. That's 13 places gained so far for Simon O'Neill, and I think that's becoming a bit of a habit. He always does that, always sorts of... Oh, Marsh runs wide. We just saw the last bit of that. So that's allowed those guys to catch up. So still a bit of dirt on the tyres, big wobble coming out of there. And who else is pit? Shields pit, Smith, Van der Rad have pit. So we'll keep an eye on pit stop times. So I think a 40-second pit stop with a time of about 1 minute 13 in the pits seems to be about right. Although John Chill, great pit stop, 36 seconds is the quickest that we've had in terms of time stationary. Sandberg, 1 minute 49 stationary in the pits, and he actually came back out in P26. So that was over a minute longer than he should have been in the pits for his incident. So that's a good pit stop from Chill. He's actually gained 4 or 5 seconds in the pit, so it'll be interesting to see where he comes back out. Around the guys that were in front of him. We've actually got a new fastest speed trap on the straight. Is Tom Coombs, 279 kilometers an hour. So more people pitting makes it very, very difficult to keep an eye on what's going on. And Van der Rad has a stop-go for, I'm guessing, speeding in the pit lane. So, as we just followed John round, who else pits? Dowling, Duran, Webber. In fact, I think John will jump some people in the pits, to be honest. We'll see. In fact, who's that? Yes, we do get past Duran in the pit lane. In that one Lexus. In fact, we've lost another car. We've only got 28 runners now, so who else has retired? Fortunately, I can't see. Seville, our race leader, pits. So that promotes Anders into P1. Quite a lot of people very much going for a straight down the middle, it seems. So this now for the lead of the bronze class. Coombs has pit, so we'll overtake these guys again, but this is for the lead at the moment as Tristan pulls into the pit lane. And here is Webber and Dowling. What's happened here? Taylor's just lost a space. Let's try and figure out what happened there. So we're following Taylor. Duran looking down the inside. And it was just a simple overtake into Ascari. Neatly done. Everyone carries on with their life. What else is going on? Marquez reparks Lister. Henry's doing his thing of staying out the longest so that he leads a lap. So well done, Henry. Silver class. I'm quicker than you, Henry. So when I get to race next year, you better watch out. There'll be a new sheriff in town. No, good job, Henry. So P1 in the silver class. Quite a substantial lead in the silver championship too. As the number 6 car, O'Neill Pitts, actually came up as a yellow flag on the thing. It's clearly not a yellow flag. Carl Smith, we've got Tristan Ferguson just in front of us, who was just pitted. See that yellow Bentley in front of us. In fact, the Bentley runs wide too, although he seems to, despite that, have a good run out of the corner. So a lot of shuffling going on still with the pit stops. Wagner back up into P8. Lister P6. Just go into that. Mark Lister, APR bronze driver, are currently up in P6. Obviously does need to pit, but doesn't matter. So Lister defending, he does push Wagner out, but I feel Wagner will get the move done before the corner, and indeed he does. Clearly able to brake a fair bit later. So O'Neill, in fact he pitted, didn't he? Or has he been in the pits all this time? Is he having a nightmare? Yeah, he's been in the pits over a minute and a half. So he's lost 20 seconds so far. That's a shame. So saying he was running really well. So Team APR 1-2 at the moment. Henry Handy 1, Adam Gardner 2. Neither have pit. Doesn't matter. Who's the biggest gainer that has pit? Not sure. We'll figure it out in a minute. So Andy Purcell pits from P5, so he will obviously drop back down the order. In fact, I don't think Coombs has got too far to go to overtake that class lead, really. That's a very good point. I think Darren in the chat has identified the other retiree is Kirk Heath. So I can't see anything with them where they've made contact, so I'm not sure why they've left, unfortunately. So Wagner gets past Simon O'Neill, who runs slightly wide. So John Cheel and Michael Hutchison. In fact, Michael Hutchison has pits. This is for position. And as I suspected, John has actually made up a couple of spots in the pit lane. And this is the closest battle on circuit at the moment, other than Seville and Gardner, but Gardner does pit. We've got Joy and Purcell as well. We'll keep an eye on what's happening with John Chill for P13. And Dominic Joy gets past Purcell back for P19. Sort of lap times are Hutchinson and Chills. Their best lap times 49.3 and a 49.4, so very, very, very close on pace. Hutchinson has just pit, so it is on fresher tyres. Gardner, who pitted from P2, is currently P8 and obviously dropping, but we'll see where he comes out. Still stationary at present. Still stationary, so still dropping. So Cheel, his teammate, does now pass him quite comfortably. So still yet to pit Henry Handy. We've only got 23 minutes. He's doing 49.6 his last lap. And the only other person yet to pit is in P7. Gardner actually re-emerges P16. What else we got? We've got Coombs and Daffin. So we got 22 minutes left. Who else is going well? AJ Jones is going very well. Started from the pit lane. He's up into P15. What's happening here? Sheridan and Purcell. Purcell actually outbrakes himself into the chicane. You can see him just to the side. And he doesn't try and do anything silly and bounce across the curves. He just gives it up. Again, Coombs and Daffin very, very, very close. So I'm sure that Lamborghini is officially the quickest in a straight line. So we'll be seeing that delta come down, and indeed we do. 0.3, 0.2, 0.1. We look for an overtake. Won't be happening this time. Cheel is very close to Hutchinson. He was actually alongside. Can't quite get that done. In fact, Hutchinson is pressured into a mistake by the APR Red John Cheel, and he gains a place. So that's for equivalent P10 for when Mark Lister comes into the pit lane. So that's good driving. Well done everyone there. Just looking through the contacts, there haven't really been any. Who else? Damiao has just done his personal best on that last lap. Now I'll be back very shortly. So, I am back. We will jump. So, Mark Lister finally makes his pit stop from I think what was P7 at the time. Also got Jack Taylor, Serkan Duran and AJ Jones in this close little battle here. Henry's still going. He's done 22 laps on that set of tyres, so he is still motoring on ahead. Oh, slow exit, and we're tagged from behind. AJ Jones not giving this one up. Side by side through the Curva Grande, but Jack Taylor comes ahead, and AJ Jones quickly switches back to the inside. They door bang. Taylor's forced to go off the track. Does AJ Jones wait? No, he does not. Okay. Probably not great racing etiquette there. They've made contact. The pass wasn't made clean. Got to say, if I was driving, I would have waited. But that's different. People do different things. So Henry Handy still P1. Is the only driver left on circuit that has not made a pit stop. Surely he's got to come in soon. There's only 18 minutes left. See what his lap time. If he still does carry on going around, what was his last lap? And yes, I did think he would have to pit at some point. So here he comes. As John Chill pops in his quickest lap of the race. What's his gap? 7 seconds the car ahead. Bit of clear air for John, trying to pull away from Hutchison behind, and he's all of a sudden getting a bit of a shifty on. So where will Handy come out? I am thinking, ooh, it's going to be tight between him and Damiao, to be honest. So we'll stick with Damiao. We've got a bit of traffic in front of us. We've got O'Neill behind us. We've got Turnbull, and I'm not sure who the purple car is. I always think it's great if your surname's 3 letters long, can literally fit on the window. That's pretty cool. Rather than being something shitty like Ha, like mine. So Handy is just moving now out of the pit lane. We are coming around. So where is he? And in fact Handy is already in the first chicane, so we have quite comfortably come out. And in fact we've come out in P3, Henry Handy. And that's P4 just behind us in Marquez, so that is a great pit strategy, it turns out. So Handy up 4 places. We've got Marquez behind us. Marquez is quicker, just looking at the lap times. 48.6 compared to a 48.2, quickest laps, but does that matter? Does it balls? So the question here is, can Henry drive defensively for 16 minutes and keep Marquez behind him? He's got a habit of doing this, isn't he? Stealing all the screen time. So this is the closest battle on the circuit at the moment. Although Handy has actually conceded the place to Marquez there. Which is interesting. I got to be honest, I don't think I would have done that. I would have tried to defend, but I guess P4 still pretty good. As we go into the final quarter of this race. So what's going on? Handy with much fresher tyres, of course, so if he can keep behind Marquez, this battle could probably, in 10 minutes or so, heat back up again. So, next closest battle, Joy and Smith. I think that was close. Who's that behind? Is that Seville? Yeah, it will be Seville. There's no Rasmussen tonight. Smith's keeping his foot in. He's not giving up the position. And for now, he will keep that place. So AJ Jones will be in the tow. Durant coming down into the first corner. It's not going to be enough, is it? Not on this occasion. If he keeps close, there will be an opportunity the next lap. And as I did think, Handy is just handily hanging on to the back of Marquez. If he can keep this gap for the next 10 or so minutes, he's going to be in a prime position at the end of this race on the freshest tyres of everyone here. Anyway, we're with Jones again, looking down the inside of Serkan Duran. We've also got Taylor behind us. Although this battle's heating up again now, isn't it? Dominic Joy, Carl Smith. Joy looking down the inside into the first Lesmo, and I think Smith eventually does just concede that place. Just keeping an eye on the gap. Henry's just sitting there. Wagner is not getting away. And in fact, Wagner makes a mistake and Henry gets past. So that's for P3 overall in this race. And as I thought would be happening, with Handy following Marquez, he does his best lap on the last lap, as does Anders Amundsen. And Henry gets back ahead. Try and jump back AJ Jones, Taylor and Durant. We've also got Adam Gardner just behind. Whoa, Jones getting close. So we're having another look down the inside. In fact, Marquez has got back past Handy, but we're going to have another look. We're on the outside, so we're not going to get this done on this occasion. So let's see what happened. And Marquez just throws it down the inside into turn one. In the tow. That's kind of what happens if you've got two drivers with a very, very, very similar speed. Here's to guessing that Henry's going to do exactly the same on the next lap. And as you can see through the full replay, Henry actually had the run going into the next chicane, but couldn't quite get it done. As we jump back. So again, we are going to have an almighty tow going into turn one. We just keep the parabolica nice and straight. So gap 0.3, 0.2, 0.1. This is where the toe gets really sort of prominent. Wheel it around the outside. Oh, Henry can't get it done. He can't get the car slowed down. He takes the safe option. And unfortunately, I think that's going to lose in the position. He needed to keep his foot in there a little bit more and stay a little bit closer. So unfortunately, we'll jump over to AJ Jones and Serkan Duran, who are still fighting with each other. And they make contact. Two very aggressive drivers. Oh, and Jimmy Taylor behind gets caught up in all of that as well. All over the gravel. Gardner picks up 2 places in that little incident. So that's unfortunate for all of them. So this is where it all happens. Duran loses control, comes back across the circuit, and unfortunately ends up the worst off out of all of those guys. So yeah, unfortunately Henry now is out of the tow, is over a second behind. Wagner, he probably should have been a little bit braver on the escape road and tried to keep the gap closer. So, but Henry being very fair, almost too fair. So what's going on? Closest battles on track is this one here as well. Adam Gardner, P13. Following AJ Jones, we've got a lap car there. Mark Lister does hold up Jones quite significantly, caught him in the wrong part of the circuit. That's pulled us up right behind. Oh, Gardner getting all out of shape over the sausage curves on the inside. You can tell that's massively compromised his corner. Have they hit each other? No. They all carry on. Let's see what else we got. Sandberg and Purcell. Sandberg obviously recovering from... It's good to see Oscar continuing after his crashes and being in the pits. Got an issue for Ferguson. There he seems to be going again now. Sandberg gets past Purcell quite easily. Taylor and Gardner. Gardner missing the chicane. And in fact, Gardner has got a drive-through for not slowing down enough, or for his 3rd tracker of the event. So that's going to be very annoying for a pretty decent P13, really. As Webber pops down the inside of Ferguson, and I think that's Amundsen behind, does get past that as well. So yeah, Gardner will be raging. Really looking forward to hearing all about that later. Is it over with Handy? He's just done his fastest lap of the race, but unfortunately it's still slower than Wagner's last lap ahead. So that toe, it was exciting to watch, but it was the thing that was keeping him there. I think the gap from P2 to P1 to P2 in silver is 11 seconds, yeah, so he'll be fine. Who else is close? Dowling, Purcell. P22, P23. As we go into the last 5 minutes of this race. In fact, Dowling's had a hell of a run here on Purcell. fact, we're going to have even more of a run going into turn 1. So we'll see what happens. In fact, the Aston manages to get enough overspeed to keep him behind. Anyway, so Jonathan Seville, he's driving around all by himself. P1, 20 seconds. Gap to Anders Amundsen, P2. Wagner Marquez, P3. Looks like he's gonna hold off Henry Handy in P4. P5, Damiano. P6, Chris Stevenson. P7, number 7 car, Carl Daffin. P8, Tom Coombs. P9, Jonathan Marsh. P10, John Cheel. P11, Michael Hutchison. P12, AJ Jones. P13, but he will have a drive-through penalty, is Adam Gardner. Jack Taylor, P14. Serkan Duran, P15. Dominic Joy, P16. James Sheridan, P17. Patrick Webber, P18. Oscar Sandberg, P19. Tristan Ferguson, P20. Andy Purcell, P21. So we're watching these guys battle anyway. Purcell and Dowling. We've also got Ferguson just ahead of us, haven't we? We do indeed. So this battle will rage on towards the end, I would imagine. So Purcell's had an almighty run on the Bentley, and we're actually ahead before we even get to turn 1. Dowling's got the overspeed from the double draft, but can't quite do that this time. So how many laps? Got 2 more laps. As Marquez does his best lap of the race, a 48.0. I think Adam's going to choose to ignore his penalty, I would imagine. Sandberg and Webber. This is 4th position. As the leader starts his final lap. I would imagine Oscar will get past. If not here, into turn 1, as Adam does take his penalty, and he's actually been disqualified. The absolute Wally. Adam Gardner disqualified. Fucking numbnuts. Sandberg can't quite get that move done on that occasion, so we'll follow with Seville anyway. Be nice to actually see him cross the line. He's got a 20-second gap. Still using every inch of the track. Pretty faultless drive, really. Hasn't really had anything to do particularly. That car looks absolutely hooked up properly, doesn't it? Again, I do say it, but I think the pro guys, some of their setups are absolutely spot on. Anyway, Seville will come across the line to win at Monza. Great drive.
The leader has finished the race.
Easy peasy lemon squeezy. P2, unless there's any dramas, will be Anders Amundsen. Good drive from him. Considering he started P5 at the beginning. And P3 will be Wagner Marquez. As long as he can negotiate this little bit of traffic, which I'm sure he will be fine. Didi does P3, and we've got Henry Handy P4, first in the silver class. Dami Io P5, Chris Stevenson P6, Carl Daffin P7, Tom Coombs P8, P9 for Jonathan Marsh, P10 for Jonathan Shield, P11 for Michael Hutchison, P12 for AJ Jones, and P13, good first drive for Mr. Taylor. So that'll be the end of the broadcast for this evening. I hope you enjoyed it. Like I say, it was just me this evening, so it's a little bit more tricky than normal, but I will catch you for the next round.